Hello out there in internet land. This is episode 22 of the P&J's F1 Chat. I'm your host, Phil Lamington, and sitting beside me is the man who always fights like a lion, JB. How are you, JB, my friend?
I'm good. I always fight like a lion unless it involves toilet doors, apparently. then the toilet door fights like a lion and I wind up breaking my pinky.
It fights like a brick fucking wall.
It fights like a brick shit house. Good times. No, I'm good, man. I'm good. Good evening.
Yes, well, hello everyone, and hello JB. And so this one's a little bit late this week. It's been a very busy week for me with getting what a band member that I'm kind of in a band with saying the death jab. Yeah.
Getting your 5G implant.
Well, my phone reception has not gotten any better.
That's Telstra's problem, though, not yours.
And according to a member of my band as well, I would become... it mutates your DNA.
Does it?
Sadly, though, I have not developed bone claws, a healing reaction. I'm not in a wheelchair with psychic powers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look like Famke Janssen. I don't look like Anna Paquin. And I'm not as funny as Ryan Reynolds. So clearly...
Being funny is a superpower, and Ryan Reynolds definitely has that superpower.
Very much. Sadly, I'm not as funny, and I can't heal myself.
Neither can I, apparently. Sitting here with me wee little swollen sausage fingers.
Fingers like sausages. Goes with your head like a cash register.
I wish.
Right, so we are here to discuss the race from Monday morning, which was the Qatar Formula One from Saudi Arabia's next race. Qatar.
Doha. I think it's Doha.
Is it?
Yeah, Lusail International Circuit in Doha. The MotoGP track, essentially.
There's no D in it, though. How could it be Doha if there's no D?
I'm pretty sure the city they're at is Doha. I could be... I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong.
Okay, well, I'll take your word for it.
Qatar is the country.
Right. Okay.
Doha is the city. And Lusail is the circuit.
Right.
Pretty sure I've got that right.
Okay. You're the journalist.
That's it.
I'm the host, you're the journalist.
Pull that shit up, Jamie.
All right. So, it was the F1 Grand Prix from Qatar, full sail, Lusail, cast the sail, man the ships, man the plunder, ye beggars.
Battle stations, man the cannons.
Why is the rum gone? So, what did you think of the race, JB?
Yeah, I actually thought that was a lot more overtaking than I thought it was going to be. Everyone was worried about the middle sector being too tight and too hard to follow, but there was some great racing up and down the grid. Threw up some surprises, especially the Alpines. The Alpines had a great weekend. I mean, for all the shit we've talked about, Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon, they pulled it out when they had to. I think the McLarens definitely struggled a lot more than I wanted them to. The Ferraris, for as good as they've been, to only finish 7th and 8th, I think they'll be a little bit disappointed by that. And the AlphaTauris, they started the weekend strong, but as soon as it got to qualifying, they were nowhere. Like Yuki Tsunoda was one of the fastest in practice. Pierre Gasly was behind him. But come race day, they were absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, it might have been with the Ferraris in particular. It might have been just the tyre management. It might have been tyre management. It might have been because it was pretty hot there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it is a desert.
Yeah.
I think the track temperature was around about 45 degrees, so it wasn't going to...
Yeah, so I think the Ferraris might have been protecting their tyres a little bit.
I mean, the fact that Pirelli took their hardest compounds there as well probably led, gave notice to what they thought the track conditions were going to be. I mean, it's the middle of the night. It's still 45 degrees on the track, and, add in that sand is probably blowing on the track or whatever. They probably weren't expecting the greatest conditions track-wise.
Mind you, we'll come back to this later. We'll go through the results first, and then
Yes.
the blow by blow
Mm-hmm.
on it. It's enough how my ex girlfriend ended up with her partner. Anyway, so in first place was Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes, followed by Max Verstappen in the Red Bull.
That's what you want for a championship fight.
Yes. Fernando Alonso in third place in the Alpine, or as the news on 4CRM keeps saying, Alpine. Fourth is Sergio Perez in the Red Bull. Esteban Ocon in fifth in the other Alpine. Lance Stroll in sixth in the Aston Martin. Seventh was Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari, followed by Charles Leclerc in the other Ferrari. Lando Norris in a lowly ninth for the McLaren. And Sebastian Vettel rounding out the top 10 in the other Aston Martin. Pierre Gasly was in 11th in the AlphaTauri. He was doing all right at the start of the race, but
He was doing all right all weekend until the lights went out.
yeah. 12th is Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren. 13th is Yuki Tsunoda in the other AlphaTauri. 14th was Kimi Räikkönen in the Alfa Romeo, followed closely by his teammate Antonio Giovinazzi in the other Alfa Romeo. 16th was Mick Schumacher in the Haas. 17th was George Russell in the Williams. 18th was Nikita Mazepin in the other Haas. And retiring from the race was Nicholas Latifi in the Williams and Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes.
Correct. Now, how did we get there, you ask? Well, let me tell you.
How did we get there?
I'll take you on an adventure. All right, Qatar Grand Prix. Lap 1. Lewis Hamilton starts on pole alongside Pierre Gasly, with Max Verstappen given a 5-place grid penalty for ignoring yellow flags in the third qualifying session. Valtteri Bottas was given a 3-place grid penalty for the same infringement. Ironically, it was Pierre Gasly that caused the yellow flag on the final flying lap of Q3, and it was Pierre Gasly who was promoted from 4th to 2nd on the grid due to those penalties. So, lights go out and away we go, as Crofty would say.
And away we go.
That one. Lewis leads into turn 1 from Pierre Gasly. Max Verstappen getting a rocket start from 7th to 4th, despite being on the medium tyres. He got a very good start. Fernando Alonso shut the door on Max Verstappen on the right-hand side of the track coming into turn 2. Fernando climbed into second place, going around the outside of Pierre Gasly with a balls-to-the-wall move. The back sliding out on the Alpine, but the Spaniard holding firm. It was quite a good move. Lap 4, Max Verstappen passes Pierre Gasly into third position. The Frenchman running wide out of the last corner, but as we saw, also didn't use DRS. It may have been a team order, which is fair enough, I guess. They are sister teams.
Yeah.
Lap 5, Max blast past Fernando Alonso into... I think that was second place, actually, with the Red Bull finding pace on the medium tyres. Lap 9, Valtteri Bottas got up into 10th place, past Yuki Tsunoda. After a hurry up from his team, he had a bad start. He started 7th, and I think he dropped to about 12th or 13th by the end of lap 1, and he never really recovered, to be honest. Lap 14, Pierre Gasly stops early, committing to a 2-stop race, with Sebastian Vettel passing George Russell for 13th. He would eventually finish in the points as well. Lap 15, Valtteri Bottas passes Carlos Sainz into 7th. His team informing him he should be fighting Sergio Perez for 3rd overall by the end of the race, just as Sergio Perez flies past Lando Norris the following lap into 4th position. Lap 18, Max Verstappen pits for a fresh set of hard tyres, possibly committing to a 2-stop race. Lap 19, Lewis Hamilton pits for fresh hard tyres as well. His hand forced by Max Verstappen despite Lewis wanting to go longer. Lap 20, Sergio Perez pits, Red Bull perhaps not committing him to a 1-stop race, as Valtteri is told by his team that Perez would likely have to do a 2-stop. So there was a little bit of a head-scratcher as to why they didn't alternate the strategies at Red Bull. Lap 21, a slow-motion replay shows Max Verstappen's front wing leaning down slightly to the left, possibly damaged by the curbs around Qatar, but it didn't seem to affect him in the end. Lap 23, Valtteri Bottas gets past Lando Norris into 4th, while Sergio Perez gets back past Sebastian Vettel for 11th. Lap 24, Fernando Alonso pits for hard tyres. His first stint on the soft tyres lasting an impressive 24 laps. Considering what this track did to the hard tyres, that is quite phenomenal. Lap 29, Sergio Perez and Fernando Alonso have a great battle through the first 3 corners, with Sergio eventually getting the ascendancy into 4th place. Lap 33, Valtteri Bottas picks up a puncture on his medium tyres after going long, and he spears off into the gravel trap, damaging his car, so his medium tyres had lasted 33 laps by that point. And a lot of the runners who got punches were around about that low 30s when they started getting into trouble. Lap 40, Lewis Hamilton warns of vibrations from his front tyres, with all the one-stop drivers suddenly on notice. Lap 41, Max Verstappen pits for a set of new medium tyres, Sergio Perez following him in for a fresh set of medium tyres as well. Lap 42, Mercedes reacts, Lewis Hamilton stopping for a scrub set of medium tyres. Lap 46, Alonso telling his team to ask Esteban Ocon to defend like a lion as he chases his first podium since 2014. Lap 47, Sergio Perez laments to his team, why did we do a 2-stop? With Red Bull responding, knowing his tyres will be much faster than the cars in front of him. Lap 48, Esteban Ocon loses out to Sergio Perez, but fights his ass off to try and save his spot, but loses out. So he didn't quite fall like a lion, but he did his best.
It was a cub.
Yeah.
Fought like a cub.
Or like a teenage lion, maybe. Like, he lost the spot, but he eventually, he tried to fight it back around the outside. He almost got it back around the outside, but... lap 50, Lando Norris forced to give up his spot to Charles Leclerc, as McLaren says he's getting a puncture. Valtteri Bottas forced to retire his car due to earlier damage. Lap 51, George Russell picks up a left front puncher as well, and is forced to do a pit stop. 1 lap later, on lap 52, Nicholas Latifi picks up a left front puncher as well. Lap 53, all 3 tyre failures coming around the mid-30 mark. Despite this being Pirelli's hardest compound, the C1. Lap 54, Fernando Alonso going 32 laps on his hard tyres, with Alpine begging him to stay off the sawtooth curbs. Lap 56, virtual safety car is deployed as Nicholas Latifi's Williams is recovered down the service road. Max Verstappen takes the opportunities to pit for soft tyres for a crack at the fastest lap. And 1 lap later, Lewis Hamilton wins the Qatar Grand Prix from Max Verstappen and Fernando Alonso, who's on the podium for the first time since Hungary 2014. Max Verstappen sets the fastest lap of the day, with Fernando Alonso getting driver of the day.
So this is just breaking news, actually, that I just got alerted on Twitter.
Ooh.
On the Twitter, the Mercedes chief aerodynamicist Eric Blandon has just signed with Aston Martin for 2022.
That's a big coup. That's a big coup for Aston Martin. I mean, that's a team that's wanting to fight its way back to the top.
And like their head engine people have been signed with Red Bull, so
Changing of the guard
at
Brackley. Oh, Brackley? Yeah, Brackley.
Yeah, Brackley.
Yeah. Changing of the guard in Brackley.
So that was breaking news right there. Like, literally happened as soon as you started reading the results. That happened.
Luckily, we're like 3 days behind.
Yeah, well, it dates us though.
It does date us.
So before we get stuck into things like the pit lane questions and that,
Yes.
there were 3 things that happened during the race that I kind of wanted to talk about.
Absolutely.
The first thing was, how good was Fernando Alonso?
How good was Fernando Alonso?
And I mean, I'm not his hugest fan.
I got to clearly not go back and listen to the season preview episode.
Yeah.
Of how badly we shat on him.
Him and Ocon.
And Ocon, yeah, absolutely. We shat on both the Alpine drivers. We called them overrated.
And here we are,
praising
eating a very large, humble sandwich.
After Hungary and after now, once again, the boys giving us another dishing of crow. Is that the humble pie? I think it was a couple races ago we were singing their praises as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago, so Alpine, yeah, definitely.
Whereas, like, at the start of the year, we were heaping the praises of Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah.
That hasn't quite turned out as well.
Yeah, he had so much fanfare coming in from Formula 2, but it just hasn't eventuated.
But, you know, Alonso seems like a really good teammate as well with Ocon, like telling him, you know, passing the message on for him to fight like a lion.
He was on this week's episode of Beyond the Grid podcast as well, and he's already said he's going to stick around for another 3 years.
Okay.
So he's going to be 43, 44 when he pulls the plug.
Okay.
But that's good. That's a good thing for Esteban to learn off.
Yeah.
And yeah, you want to talk about fighting like a lion. Fernando was the one fighting like a lion. You know, he pulled off all the old tricks.
Yeah.
All the old, just like vintage Fernando Alonso. Just
yeah, thanks, Michael Cole.
Yeah, thank you, Michael Cole, if you can hear us.
He can't. He's got 65% hearing.
Poor guy. Yeah, no, vintage Fernando Alonso. Just great drive and great for his confidence and great weekend for Alpine.
Yeah, and it surprised me how good the Alpines were. I would have thought the Ferraris or the McLarens would have been higher up.
And I mean, there's an Aston Martin between them.
Yeah.
Lance Stroll's a long way, like 6th. That's the best finish for Aston Martin in a while.
Yeah. But, I mean, like I said, I think the Ferraris were protecting their tyres. I think if there was one, like the track layout to me kind of reminded me of Bahrain.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Bahrain.
But it got rid of the crappy parts of Bahrain. Like
there's crappy parts of Bahrain.
There are crappy parts.
That's like
of
my
Bahrain.
favorite track.
Well,
to drive, not my favorite track overall.
Yeah.
To drive.
See, I like Austria.
Well, actually, I was watching McLaren Unboxed today, the recap of Qatar, and they're doing the track walk, and they're like, this track is like a flat Mugello.
Yeah?
He's like, yeah, and they're like, it's like a long straight followed by a bunch of windy things.
Yeah.
And I don't think McLaren had a particularly good race at Mugello last year either. And I think Ferrari didn't have a great race at Mugello last year either, but that's because they were hampered by their engine.
Yeah.
But you're right, I expected more from Ferrari this weekend. I really did.
And McLaren.
I don't know what I expect from McLaren anymore. Honestly, I'm sitting here wrapping their polo shirt right now and fucking, I don't know, week to week. I mean, there's a mix of, once again, you could call it bad luck. Lando Norris was developing a puncture. He would have finished 4th. He was developing a puncture. And Daniel Ricciardo got a fuel warning as a system error on lap 1 and was saving fuel mid-race, driving 2 seconds a lap slower than he should have been, until McLaren realised it was a system error and he actually had more fuel than he thought. And then he could push. But by the time he started pushing, there was like 20 laps to go, and the best he could do was 12.
That sounds like us when we play the F1 game.
Yeah.
We're just saving fuel, saving fuel, saving fuel. Oh, crap. It's time to use it.
It's like, oh, we got plus fucking 10 laps of fuel, trying to fucking crank it up.
And then you crank it up, and like 2 laps later, they say, oh, you know...
You should probably bring it back down.
You're sending mixed messages.
It's alright, you can't do it.
It's like Tinder, you're sending mixed messages.
What, spam bot? Generic spam bot says, turn your engine mode back to 2.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was, pardon me, how unlucky Valtteri Bottas, Russell and Latifi were, even Norris, with their punctures. Or were they unlucky? Oh, here we go.
I mean...
Now, allow me to clarify why I'm saying how unlucky. Because I think we might have come up with a way of solving the track limits issue.
The fact that they're running over sawtooth curbs, or the fact that the curbs are... Yeah, well, the curves are flat because it's a MotoGP track. That was the problem. Like, usually a ripple strip is rounded, and you can drive your car on the rounded edge, which like pushes the car back towards the track. This isn't the case in the Sail, because it's purely a MotoGP circuit. the curbs were flat. So the curbs they were actually using to push the car back onto the track essentially were the sawtooth curbs that were damaging the front wing and the barge boards and the underside of their cars.
But maybe if they incorporate them into other tracks where track limits are an issue, it might stop drivers from driving all the way out yonder for track limits. And there'll actually be a penalty for track limits, not no investigation required,
Well,
like Brazil.
I mean, most good tracks, the track limits are gravel. And a lot of these modern tracks, the runoff
The
is asphalt.
Herman Tilke disaster pieces. Let's call a spade what it is. The Herman Tilke disaster pieces with the 10,000 miles of runoff. You've got so much runoff you could land a jumbo fucking jet on them.
Yeah, and Lewis brought a point up. He said, guys like Max Verstappen, these young guys like Lando and Max, they grew up racing on tracks where they have all this fucking runoff, which is why they drive as aggressively as they do. Lewis grew up on tracks, and Fernando and maybe even Danny Ricciardo
Kimi Räikkönen.
grew up on tracks. The limits were gravel and grass. You don't
Yeah.
go out there.
Yeah.
So, and that's the difference that's the generational difference anyway. But, yeah, I think, unlucky, I think I saw the analysis on it. Most of their tyres went around lap 33, 34, 35. Unlucky was Lando Norris. His tyre went at lap 29. So, and considering that it was the C1 compound, which is the hardest compound of tyre that Pirelli make, and they're exploding, I don't think luck has anything. I think it was the sawtooth curbs, which is why once the teams figured it out, because they've never been here before, as well, and they may never be here again, because Qatar 2023, I think they're going to build a street track. Surprise, surprise. Yeah. So they've never been here before, and they'll probably never be here again. They didn't realise the sort of damage that those curbs can do. So a lot of those punctures were caused by the front wing deflecting into the tyre, or the edge of the sawtooth digging into the tyre wall.
Yeah.
So unlucky maybe, but only because they didn't know
Yeah.
what was coming. And the only sign we had was Pierre Gasly's tyre failure in the third qualifying session,
Yeah.
which looked almost incidental.
Yeah.
So
I think everyone online blaming Pirelli is in the wrong, but maybe if they do this circuit again in a couple of years, say they don't do the street circuit, say they do this, even if they do a street circuit, maybe Pirelli, because Pirelli make a special tyre for
testing.
Zandvoort.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they made a special tyre for Zandvoort for the bank corner.
Right.
Maybe they need to make a special tyre just for the Saudi Arabian sort of countries that are a little bit more durable.
Maybe. I mean, they knew what they were coming into at least, because they bought the C1, the C2, and the C3,
Yeah.
which is the hardest compound. So they knew what sort of track conditions to at least expect. But I don't think anyone was ready for the curbs.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of cars that were just completely totaled this weekend by those curbs.
All right, and then the third thing before we get into the pit lane questions is it's Max versus Lewis Hamilton
Oh my goodness.
and what needs to happen. So in Saudi Arabia, if Max Verstappen comes first with the fastest lap and Lewis Hamilton places sixth or lower, which I don't see happening,
Yeah, I don't.
Max Verstappen becomes Formula One world champion.
Mm-hmm.
If Max Verstappen comes first, Lewis Hamilton comes seventh or lower, Max Verstappen is world champion. Don't see that happening. Max Verstappen comes second with the fastest lap, and Lewis Hamilton comes 10th or lower, Max Verstappen is world champion. Don't see that happening. Max Verstappen comes second, Lewis Hamilton does not score, Max Verstappen becomes world champion. Maybe that last one could happen, but
He will need, like I said, he will need engine failure.
yeah.
He will need that Mercedes donkey to let go.
Or someone to crash into him.
I've driven the Saudi Arabia track in the game. Phenomenal circuit. But it's a fast, high-speed track, and I don't think anyone's going to touch Lewis. Just the way the track is. It's high-speed corners. I mean, it will be hot, and the cars will be put under a lot of stress. But it looks very much like a Mercedes circuit.
I think this race comes down to qualifying. Max Verstappen has to qualify in front of Lewis.
Yeah.
If he does not, then
We're
he's got
going
to
to
pray
a-
for a miracle.
We're going to... And to your point, here we go. Beyond Jeddah. This is the flip side. That is what happened if Verstappen wants to become champion.
Mm-hmm.
If Lewis Hamilton wins Jeddah and sets the fastest lap, Max Verstappen finishes second, they will go to Abu Dhabi level on points. I can see that happening. But Max would technically lead the championship because he's won more races. I can see us going to Abu Dhabi level on points.
Well, if we go to Abu Dhabi, level on points, do you think Max Verstappen will do a Prost versus Senna?
I think Lewis was floated this question. I don't know.
I don't think he will.
I think he's got enough pride to not do it that way.
He'll try really hard.
To make it look like a fuck. You have to get Sergio up there to intentionally lock his brakes or some shit and make it look like an accident.
We'll get an AlphaTauri.
Or
Yuki
just
Tsunoda.
You know what? If Lewis wins this championship, he's fucking earned it. And I don't want to see any bullshit.
No.
I want to see them race. I think these last two tracks, Jeddah, I think, is going to suit Mercedes very well. And Abu Dhabi has seemingly suited the Mercedes very well, but has also suited the Red Bull as in previous years as well. So, but they've redesigned that track as well.
Yeah, they took out the corner that...
They took out the shitty hairpin, and now it's like a sweeper. And they've taken out the...
Did they take the... Because at the end of the... Because you've got the long straight, then you've got the chicane.
They've taken that out. They've taken out the second chicane.
Because that was the chicane that Pastor Maldonado launched Hulkenberg.
Yes.
So they've taken
that out. That's a sweeper now. That's a banked corner, actually.
Shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, I said it last race. I'm saying it again. Max has got an uphill battle to win this championship. Like, it's going to have to be... Lewis is going to have to fuck up. Like, it's going to have to be engine failure, botched pit stop, something.
Puncture in the tyre.
Or a puncture in the tyre. It could happen too.
Yeah.
But something is going to happen to Lewis for Max to win this championship now, I think.
Or Max has just got to really keep his nose clean and keep it out front of Lewis. That means...
Yeah, but these next two tracks just don't... They're not Red Bull circuits, but then again, I thought Interlagos was a Red Bull circuit. I mean, it was, and Lewis maybe had the benefit of a new internal combustion engine, but Lewis has found form at the right time. Like, he has seized momentum back at the perfect time.
I think if Max had started beside Lewis at this race, it would have been a different story. But because he was,
Seventh. He was seventh, yeah.
Yeah. So that would have been a factor as well.
Yeah. I don't know.
Whoever wins it, though,
has
has
fucking
earned
earned
it.
Has fucking earned it, yep.
And for the first time in a very long time, it is going to go down to the last race.
It will go down to the last race. I don't think unless something catastrophic happens to Lewis in Saudi Arabia, we'll go to Abu Dhabi level or very close on points.
This is going to be nail-biting, piss your pants, clench your butt cheeks, hold your breath, championship racing.
And the best thing is, the race is on midnight December 12th. I found out today my Christmas holidays start December 13th.
Oh,
So I'm staying up all night and watching that bad boy.
Oh, God.
I am going to see live who
Okay.
becomes 2021 Formula One World Champion, because we've been saying it for months. This is the best championship we've had
Yeah.
in decades. Like, what a year to start this podcast.
Yeah.
Imagine if we had this podcast 5 years ago, we would have given up on it already.
Yeah.
Like, this is fucking boring. No one to hear about Lewis Hamilton winning races by 30 seconds every fucking week. It's dumb.
All right. So now we go to the pit lane questions. The first question is about this damn flexy aerodynamic wing of the Mercedes.
But is it, though?
Well, now apparently the FIA is clarifying its rules with it,
Yeah.
which I didn't actually read before we got here.
That would have been good to know what the clarification was.
I was going to watch the video on the race and then you showed up, so I was just like, oh. But-
Feel like we're missing a good talking point here. That's all right.
I think they're tightening it a little bit, which may actually affect Mercedes.
I heard there's dots on the rear wing, and the rear-facing camera, which is put there by the FIA, it's not actually put there by the... I thought the TV crews had it there, but it's actually put there by the FIA. And there's like points on the wing that they watch at the end of the straights to see how much they flex. And Red Bull have already made this complaint before. And the FIA looked at it, and it was still within the regulations. At the same time, Mercedes is watching Red Bull's rear wing doing the oscillating thing at the end of straights, and they're questioning that because Mercedes got in trouble for Lewis's rear wing being 85.2 millimeters wide on the right-hand side. Max's entire wing is like pretty much flexing dead straight at the end of straights sometimes, which probably means it's open more than 85 millimeters as well, but they can't test it because it's not stationary. I don't know. It's just head games, isn't it?
Well, then that leads to Toto Wolff versus Christian Horner.
It's just two championship teams in a tight championship battle, trying to find the psychological edge.
Oh, but I mean, they're throwing some barbs. But I mean, now you've
That's
got
what you expect.
you got Christian Horner having a crack at what he called like rogue marshals.
The rogue marshal that threw out the double waved yellow flag that cost Max Verstappen 5 grid spots.
But it also cost Valtteri Bottas 3.
Yeah. It cost Valtteri Bottas 3 because when Valtteri went past, the marshal was waving 1 yellow flag. When Max went past, he was waving 2.
Okay.
But what's he supposed to do? There's a stationary car on the front straight.
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to. Like, sorry, it's the last flying lap of qualifying, but he's a stationary car that's had a tyre explode.
Yeah.
Like, what's he meant to do? The marshal's doing his job. You know, it's not the FIA being unfair or whatever.
But I mean, these two really are throwing barbs at each other, and they've been doing it all year.
We've seen it before.
I mean, we've seen Christian Horner throw barbs at Cyril Abitable.
Yep, Cyril Abiteboul, he's had run-ins with Ferrari.
Yeah.
He's had run-ins with... Who else was Red Bull fighting when Seb was, like, dominating? Mostly Ferrari. Oh, he was the one that got McLaren investigated for the fucking duct. The F-duct that Jensen Button had.
Yeah.
He was the reason that got investigated.
The double diffuser on the Brawn.
Yep. Like,
Yeah.
if everyone's looking for that last technological edge before we go into these new cars.
Yeah.
Because the upgrades are done. The upgrades have been done for ages. No one else is upgrading their car. Now it's just these little tiny last-minute tweaks that's either going to win Red Bull the championship or Mercedes the championship. And if you can give your driver a psychological edge or your team a psychological edge in an us versus them warfare scenario, then you've got to try and find it.
More importantly, though, if it makes Season 4 of Drive to Survival really interesting, then everyone wins.
I mean, we're going to watch it regardless, but
Yeah.
yeah, the drama's unfolding. Like, it's not even inter-team now. It is team versus team.
And if you do watch Drive to Survive on Netflix, also check out Schumacher. I watched that. That was quite good.
I have to get up.
And Rush is on Netflix.
Yes.
So you can sit there and watch Chris Hemsworth be James Hunt and...
Cinematic masterpiece.
Yes. Next point. It was announced that Antonio Giovinazzi is leaving Alfa Romeo and Formula One.
Yes.
Do you think he deserved to be dumped?
I honestly thought he was going to be kept because Kimi was going. I
Yeah.
thought that brought him a stay of execution.
I was just about to say those words. Stay
Yeah.
of execution.
Unfortunately, his head was being targeted for a while. He
Well-
was supposed to go to Ferrari.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are supposed to go to Ferrari.
Exactly.
You know, Jules Bianchi was supposed to go to
yeah,
Ferrari.
he would have been at Ferrari.
Yeah.
He would have been Charles Leclerc before Charles Leclerc, and
Yeah.
which sucks because they're good friends.
Charles Leclerc was meant to, be the next big thing in Ferrari, and he still does have the opportunity
Can
of
you
that.
imagine if Charles Leclerc and Jules Bianchi were that team?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Wow, that would have been great.
Yeah. Poor kid.
And then you've got Mick Schumacher. Really, Antonio Giovinazzi, he was lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
Hopefully they find him something in F1 though, but I think he is done in F1.
Yeah, no, he's already exploring his options outside of... did I say he's going to Formula E? I think he might be going to Formula E, unfortunately,
okay.
which is shit. No one likes Formula E.
Yeah, that seems to be... The novelty of Formula 1 seems to have died off. I mean, Mercedes are dropping out.
McLaren, I think, dropped out, although they've gone into the electric off-roading Dakar rally shit.
I think Audi or Porsche, if they're in Formula E, they're dropping out of it.
I feel like you're only there just to learn how to make a Formula 1 chassis. A Formula 1-esque chassis.
And the electric stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can generate it into an actual F1 engine in 2026.
Giovinazzi said in a statement after it was announced that he was leaving the team that he's happy about his time in Formula 1.
Yeah.
But he finished the statement by saying, being in Formula 1 means that money talks.
Yeah.
Which then leads to Guan Yu Zhou is taking his seat at Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
Do you think Guan Yu Zhou deserves a seat in Formula 1? I don't think he does.
The Formula 2 championship isn't over yet, but he's not as good a driver as Oscar Piastri. But like I said when this was first being announced, the Chinese market is massive.
That's true.
They need a Chinese driver to push the Chinese market.
Well, maybe the Chinese should set up a Chinese team.
Maybe. But Great Wall Racing, they're just made of plastic and they crumple with their one-star head cap safety
And they're
rating.
just knockoffs of other cars' designs.
Yeah, but
Wait, that's Aston Martin last year.
but just cheap plastic. No, look, he's quick, he's talented, he's not as good as Oscar Piastri, but he's got financial backing. He's got Chinese money.
I find it ironic, though, that an Alpine Academy driver is driving for Alfa Romeo, which is Ferrari powered. I find it ironic. I would have thought he would have been for Alpine reserve driver or something like that.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's what Oscar Piastri is now.
Well, I was getting to that.
Yeah.
But just Guan Yu Zhou, I think he started off all right this season in F2.
I don't want
GP2.
to. I don't want to dog him. I don't want to hope he doesn't have success because the Aussie didn't get the seat and he did. But like time will tell, I guess. Much like the Yuki Tsunoda came in with a lot of fanfare and hasn't really hit his straps. I don't think Guan Yu Zhou is gonna light the world up next year.
And I mean, because Alfa Romeo is a feeder team for, well, Sauber is a feeder team for Ferrari.
Yeah.
I would have thought Callum Ilott.
Yes. Where's he?
He is going to IndyCar next year.
Okay.
Because he couldn't get a seat in Formula One and he's just gone, fuck it.
Yeah, it's almost like, what are these people thinking? Like, you've let Callum Ilott slip through the cracks.
Robert
Nick-
Schwartzman.
Nick de Vries, Robert Schwartzman, Oscar Piastri, all these drivers, and Guan Yu Zhou gets there, he's not even going to win the Formula 2 World title.
Yeah.
He might, I don't know.
Well, they're saying that it's, unless a miracle happens, Oscar Piastri's got the title.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which then brings me conveniently to the third part, which is Oscar Piastri has been announced as Alpine's reserve and test driver.
does that mean, like, well, I mean, we already had this conversation, like,
Which meant he's kicked Daniel Kvyat out.
fair enough. That's,
For me, I think Kvyat, his best thing, besides when he drove in AlphaTauri, or, Toro Rosso, Kvyat's best thing was when he was the test and reserve driver for Ferrari and helped they develop their car in, I think, 2018 and 2019.
At least he's going to get experience in a Formula 1 car. Like, he won't be driving it full time like Guan Yu Zhou is going to be.
Yeah.
But he's at least going to get experience in a Formula 1 seat. And at least then has something to build his base on to push towards
Yeah.
winning his way into a seat at some point.
It just shows, though, that, like, there's only X amount of seats in Formula One.
Only 20 drivers get to do this. Soon to be hopefully 22.
Yeah, well, I mean, we need more teams in Formula One, so that more drivers from GP2 or F2 get opportunities.
Yes, we could get Piastri and Ilott and Schwartzman and Zhou
And De Vries.
and De Vries into Formula 1 instead of whoever's got the best fucking backing makes it into Formula 1.
Yeah.
Because that's all this is.
Yeah.
This is Chinese money that got Guan Yu Zhou that seat.
Yeah.
You know? So, best of luck to him, whatever. But he's the second best driver behind Piastri.
Yeah.
In the way Callum Ilott was as good as Mick Schumacher and didn't get the seat.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of that. There's just that, and that's the sad reality of Formula One.
Yeah.
A lot of genuine, talented, deserving, young, fast drivers don't make it.
Yeah. So the next story, which I read about this afternoon, Sebastian Vettel is kicking up a little bit of controversy.
What's he done?
So this week, not this weekend, next weekend, they're racing in the progressive country of Saudi Arabia in Jeddah.
Progressive.
Yeah, I just...
Oil driven.
Well, no, that's what the spiel is on the WWE pay-per-views from Saudi Arabia. They call it progressive nation.
Progressive blood money nation.
Yeah.
Driven by oil and dead animals.
So someone asked Sebastian Vettel, are you looking forward to racing in Jeddah? And he went, no. Like, out and out, no.
He's proper human rights activist too.
Yep. That's why he doesn't want to go there. He does not want to race there.
Spin-off story. Qatar World Cup. FIFA World Cup in Qatar next year. There is a bunch of Nepalese workers that worked on the stadiums that have been going back to Nepal and are all sick because they worked with, like, they were exposed to, like, radioactive materials or some shit.
Oh, Jesus.
Building the stadiums. And they all got paid, fuck all to build the stadiums because
As you do.
Qatar oil sheikhs aren't going to fucking build their own stadiums, are they?
No.
Exactly. So Sebastian Vettel's probably got his finger more on the pulse about this than I do, but as someone who's, leading the way, he's someone, there was an interview, he had an interview on Sky Sports about how he's changed his worldviews. He's more compassionate towards human rights. He's more compassionate towards, a better future, a greener future.
Well, that's why his helmet was covered in LGBTQT colours at Hungary, because Hungary government had just made an anti-gay law, like
Homosexuality illegal.
banned gay marriage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so that's why he had those colours painted on his helmet.
I mean, good on him. It's the same shit Lewis is doing, and people hate Lewis for it.
This is the thing. Like, he's being subtle about it, and because he's being subtle about it, and because he's Sebastian Vettel, he doesn't get as much of the attention as, say, Lewis Hamilton with his Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, but Lewis is black.
Yeah, but,
I feel like he's got a point.
yeah, I mean,
He's black. He's been racially abused coming up.
Oh, yeah. Look, Lewis Hamilton's got a point, but Seb's also got a point.
It's the same point.
So why isn't Lewis sitting there saying, well, not just Black Lives Matter, but all lives matter?
No, I'm not getting political.
Yeah.
Look,
I don't think either of us want to get political.
It's good on them. They're using their voices.
Yeah.
I just think Lewis is a little bit more egotistical about it.
Yeah.
Which is fine. If you're a Lewis fan, you're a Lewis fan, fine. Seb's not being egotistical. He's not forcing it down my throat.
Yeah.
The way Lewis sort of is.
Yeah, see, that's my issue with what Lewis Hamilton's doing. It just feels like he's just sitting there ramming his fist down my throat.
The Mercedes cars, as fucking awesome as they look, are black because that's Lewis wanting to take the Black Lives Matter stance.
Yeah.
Because of Lewis, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, he forced an entire... They're called the Silver Arrows, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
And they're black now because Lewis wanted to make a political statement.
Yeah.
You know, Seb's not out there. I mean, okay.
He doesn't have his car painted in gay colours.
Although Lewis did have a rainbow helmet this weekend too.
Yeah.
I noticed. But yeah, no, Seb's not out there driving a rainbow car.
Yeah.
But he's not, forcing it down my throat either.
But I do congratulate him for sitting there saying, are you looking forward to racing this country? No. And they said, why not? And he smiled and said, next question.
I wonder if Lewis would do the same thing.
Probably not.
Yeah?
For some reason, I don't think Lewis Hamilton...
He just wants to thank all the great fans.
Yeah, but I think...
back at the factory.
Yeah. I think if it was something to do with Black Lives Matter, I think Lewis would be all over it, but this is
But he has every right to be over it. He's black.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, look, it's just two different personalities. Lewis is very outspoken, and he's the most recognisable fucking face in Britain, probably.
Yeah.
More than even probably most soccer players, so he's just using his voice, and Seb's doing it in a different way, but it's the same message.
Yeah.
And, I'm all for gay rights and human rights and animal rights and equal rights. Good on them for spreading the messages. There's two different ways of doing it, and we're seeing two different ways of doing it, but, people are taking Formula One drivers as voices seriously.
Yeah.
Like, no one in the mid-90s, imagine Mika Hakkinen, was like an activist for some reason. Like, would anyone take him seriously? Like, it feels like now there's platform enough for them to use their voice for good. And they are, and good on them.
See, with your example, I don't think Mika Hakkinen would make much of a dent, but if it was Damon Hill or Michael Schumacher...
if Michael Schumacher was wearing some sort of politically charged shirt, that would generate massive headlines, I guess.
Or Senna, or Nigel Mansell.
Senna sort of was.
Yeah.
Senna fought for the rights of Brazil.
Yeah.
That's why Brazilians loved him.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was giving the world attention to Brazil, like, hey, we're a poor country, we're not as happy.
But he also gave his race winnings to the poor of Brazil.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not like, and maybe that's why Lewis is so, because Ayrton was his hero, much like Ayrton was my hero.
Yeah, but
But
I was gonna. I might as well say it. Like, I don't see Lewis giving his money to the poor.
Well, we don't know that he doesn't.
No,
we
it's
don't
true.
know that he
That's
doesn't.
true. That's true.
But I guess that's maybe the stepping stone. Like, he knew Ayrton was very charitable, and I think Lewis is. Maybe he is charitable, but there's a way. He can use his voice and be a positive role model.
Yeah. All right, and then we get to the final pit lane question. This isn't so much a question, but it is Shane van Gisbergen is the V8 Supercars or the Australian Supercars champion for 2021.
Yes, he is. Congratulations to him. The final race at Sydney Motorsport Park was rained out, and he has an unassailable lead.
And then the next race is
Bathurst.
the same weekend as the Jeddah F1, which is not this weekend, next weekend.
Yes.
So that Sunday will be a very long day of motorsport.
And drinking. But mostly motorsport. Drinking for me, not for you.
No.
Yeah, no, look. Shane van Gisbergen's dominance in this year's Supercars Championship is reasons as to why we all miss Scott McLaughlin so much.
Yeah.
I don't think people realised how good Scott McLaughlin was until we lost him.
Yeah.
Because it was Scott McLaughlin, Shane van Gisbergen for 2017, 2018, 2019. And as soon as he left to go to IndyCar, Shane van Gisbergen's been untouchable. Shane van Gisbergen's been like Jamie Whincup in the mid-2000s. Just unstoppable.
But, like, didn't the Fords put up any sort of a fight this year?
Di Pasquale started to at the end.
Yeah.
But, yeah, in terms of overall, that man right there has just been another level. And now he can go to Bathurst with no championship pressure on his shoulders, and he can
enjoy it.
He's probably going to win it too.
He's going to enjoy it.
He gets to enjoy it. Like, imagine fucking going to Bathurst. It's like, you're going to win Bathurst, but you've got to think about the championship. I'd hate that. It's like, you've got to choose, and this is probably why Bathurst is the last race of the year. Because, you know, Bathurst is usually round 10 or so of the championship.
Because it's the first weekend of October, isn't it?
Usually, yeah.
Because it's always on the same day as the Japanese F1.
Yeah, usually.
Which is annoying.
Yeah, sometimes.
It's like the last hour, the really good hour of Bathurst.
If you want to watch Bathurst and say you watched Bathurst, all you have to do is watch the last hour.
Yeah.
Watch the start, watch the first 10 minutes, and then watch the last hour, and you can say you've watched Bathurst. That's the trick.
Well, look, usually the last hour is
Brilliant.
Is safety cars.
Yeah,
it's safety
the
cars.
The last pit stop at lap 130.
Three things you could expect in the last hour of Bathurst: safety cars, more than one.
Yeah.
Fuel strategy being talked about by that idiot Neil Crompton.
Yep.
And Jamie Whincup proceeding to choke.
Jamie Whincup bending it up the top somewhere.
Or running out of petrol.
Running out of fuel.
Despite the fact his team saying to him, mate, you got to calm down. You don't have the fuel. And he just ignores them and just hammers it.
Hey, mate, win it or bin it. Like, that was my point. Imagine going into Bathurst. You're either going to win Bathurst. Like, do you want to win Bathurst or do you want to win the championship? Like, are you really going to settle for fucking second place at Bathurst? Or are you going to try and go for it at risk of crashing and possibly lose the championship?
See, the thing
Shane van Gisbergen now doesn't have that problem.
See, the thing for me is that whoever can win the championship, for me, the only person I care about is who wins Bathurst.
And I think that's going to be the future of supercars, especially now that this is Holden's last year. Now that next year we've got Gen 3 Camaro versus Gen 3 Mustang.
Yeah.
It may get to a point where the only supercars race I watch is Bathurst.
Yeah.
I mean...
It really has lost a sort of national pride with it now.
Nostalgia is fucking dead to me. I mean...
And like a few years ago...
I used to watch supercars religiously. I wouldn't miss a race. For years. The Marcus Ambrose era. The Craig Lowndes when he was at Ford, as much as everyone hated that era. The Mark Winterbottom era.
See, I was keen on V8 supercars when it was like Brocky and Lowndes at HRT.
Yeah.
You know, and you still had like Dick Johnson and
you had Mark Scaife starting to dominate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when it was genuinely Ford versus
and
Holden.
Greg Murphy trying to punch Marcus Ambrose in the face.
Oh, that's always great.
How good's that?
But then a few years ago they tried to bring in other
They did. They brought
Like,
in Volvo and they brought in
Yeah, but
Volvo.
Volvo.
Volvo was cool though.
Yeah, but Volvo was owned by Ford, so it's just another Ford team.
Yeah. So.
You had Mercedes and Nissan.
Yeah. Which is fine.
Mercedes didn't last long, did they?
No, Erebus, Mercedes, and they only had 2 cars. Nissan had like 4. I think they had 4 Volvos as well. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I've just like tapped my fucking microphone, my wire. No,
that's for your headphones, dude.
Yeah, I know. I've just got like a less sound in them now. But that's all right. No, it's fine. Don't worry. I just think the nostalgia of supercars died. I mean, once you realise how silly the Ford versus Holden rivalry was anyway. But I guess back in the late 90s, early 2000s, you could sort of understand it because it's Australian manufacturer versus technically Australian manufacturer, but American manufacturer.
Well, I mean, the only car manufacturer that still kind of make... Well, there's no car manufacturers that still make cars in Australia, is there?
No.
Maybe Kia?
I'm pretty sure Kia's like Korean or something.
Yeah, no, but...
Hyundai's Korean. Yeah,
well, I mean, I would have thought Kia and Hyundai.
maybe.
For the longest time there, it was Toyota.
Yeah, Toyota. I thought Toyota still did. I don't know. I thought they still made the Camrys here. No idea. But I mean, the nostalgia of supercars is dead. To me. Has been for a while. I don't think next year's going to do anything to fucking save it. But at least Australia's still making and producing talented drivers. You know.
And, well, I mean, still, Bathurst is still worth watching.
And Bathurst is still going to be our national race no matter what.
Even if we have to deal with Neil Crompton, whatever his stupid name is.
Yeah.
And his boring-ass commentary and his stupid Pedders commercials.
And Mark Scaife jacking himself off over Jamie Wincup's driving style. Mark Scaife does love himself some Jamie Whincup.
Yeah.
But I guess he has every reason to because it's going to be Jamie Wincup's last race.
Oh, yeah.
He's retiring. He's going to be owner of Red Bull Australia. So he's teammates with Shane Van Gisbergen this year, and he's going to be Shane Van Gisbergen's boss next year.
Is it still going to be called Red Bull?
I believe so. I think it's 888 Racing. I think it's still 888 Racing. I think Red Bull is just the main sponsor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So no, good on SVG, and another good year for him. Just goes to show how good Scotty McLaughlin was, as to how dominant he's been since he left. But you know, Bathurst is coming up. The last Bathurst for a Holden Commodore. The last Bathurst for Jamie Whincup. There's still something to watch, something to write about.
Right.
Yes.
So then that gets us to back to this
Formula
race,
One.
back to this race, back to Qatar, back to Formula One with the drivers' standings. So, leading the Drivers' Championship is Max Verstappen on 351.5 points in front of Lewis Hamilton on 343.5 points. Valtteri Bottas, who failed to score in the last race, is still in third with 203 points, but nipping at his heels. And if Bottas has results like he had in the last race, and Perez, who is in fourth, on 190 points, if he has races like the last 2 races, he's going to pip Bottas for third.
Yes. And help the constructors, obviously.
In fifth is Lando Norris on 153 points. Nipping right behind him in sixth is Charles Leclerc on 152 points. Seventh is Carlos Sainz on 145.5 points.
Carlos could probably still catch him too. To be honest,
Yeah.
I don't think Norris's fucking position is safe either.
In eighth is Daniel Ricciardo on 105. I don't think he's going to get him, but Pierre Gasly in ninth on 92 points is...
I think it's been like 3 races where Daniel Ricciardo has been stuck on 105 points.
Yeah.
He's going nowhere fast.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's not doing McLaren any favours.
McLaren's not doing McLaren any favours.
Yeah. And then in 10th place is Fernando Alonso on 77 points. And in the team standings, Mercedes is still leading the constructors on 546.5 points. Red Bull, very close. Second place with 541.5 points.
Wow, I didn't realise the Constructors was this close too.
That's 5 points.
My goodness, these last two races are going to be all or fucking nothing,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Yeah, and that's what we
Holy-
want.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Third place is Ferrari with 297.5 points.
They've almost got that sewn up.
I would, after last year, I wouldn't have picked that. I would not have
After
picked that.
fucking Monza and Sochi, I wouldn't have fucking picked that.
Yeah.
After Sochi, all our momentum fucking went, and we haven't got it back.
In fourth place is McLaren on 258 points. Fifth place is Alpine on 137 points,
That's breaking them away.
breaking the deadlock
Yeah.
with AlphaTauri, who are in sixth place on 112 points. Seventh place is Aston Martin on 77. They've been cut adrift. They are cut adrift.
They'd be devastated that that's going to be their finishing position.
In eighth, here's a team that would be very happy with their finishing position, is Williams on 23.
Good on them.
Alfa Romeo in ninth on 11. And a team that would be just distraught would be Haas with 0.
I feel like when you take enough beatings, you just become numb to it.
Sounds like
I
my
don't know.
personal life.
I don't think it sounds like you and me both. I don't think after fucking zero points for 20 odd races that you'd be distraught anymore about it.
See, if Nikita Mazepin
It's
thought
like-
he was as good as he claims he was, he would have a stockpile of points, and that would get him into a better team.
Exactly. It's
But
like
no!
it's like being a Bulldogs fan in 2020. Although screw the Bulldogs, they just signed Reed Marnie, Parramatta's hooker.
Why
So
would you do that? Why would you leave Parramatta to go to the Bulldogs?
why would you not offer the key of your attack more money to stay at Parramatta is probably the more relevant question. But you know, after taking beating after beating, which Parramatta's future holds, I guess you wouldn't.
Yeah, but
You wouldn't
you're
be so
going from
distraught.
the penthouse to the outhouse.
I don't know, man. The Bulldogs have bought a fucking good team.
It doesn't mean they're going to be any better. I mean, look at the Broncos. We could spend a fortune on whoever, whatever.
You can spend a fortune and get nowhere too.
Yeah,
It's hilarious.
I know.
I love it.
Well, the Cowboys,
Cowboys.
the Cowgirls.
They've had their like one moment in the sun.
Yeah, well, we all knew the entire team was based on Jonathan Thurston.
That's it.
Once JT buggered off.
I love how this podcast has gone everywhere.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, welcome
It's
to the
great.
welcome to the P&J F1 chat.
Welcome to just P&J having a chat.
Yeah. F1's in the title, but we also talk about football and human rights and soccer.
Football, meat pies, kangaroos, and Holden cars.
That's pretty much what we've covered tonight, yeah. So the Grand Prix was in Qatar, but fuck that. Shane Van Gisbergen won the Supercars Championship.
Fucking political rights and shit.
Humans are fucking disgusting fucking creatures, and Reed Marnie's a bulldog as of 2023.
How hot is Leia Seydoux? There we go. We've covered everything.
Cover something.
Covering something.
Covering something with something. All right. Jeddah next.
Right, so that's... Wow. So you might have noticed I've been coughing a lot and sort of struggling with
That's 5G downloading.
breathing a bit. Yes, I do have a slight cold,
That's all right.
and I do have 5G.
That's just the COVID working its way into your system, mate. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
You didn't get a 2-day fever like I did, though. I'm a bit jealous.
No.
Screw.
I actually came good about halfway through the wrestling podcast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's
Like
the
a rubber man.
Stop the Damn Match podcast.
No, that's because of my mutant healing ability.
You got superpowers now?
Yeah, like Wolverine.
Should I chop my third arm off or
You can do whatever you want.
25% more productive?
All right.
All
So
right.
our next podcast should be in 2 weeks after the...
Jeddah Grand Prix.
that's the one. I was just trying to find the air to say the words. Oh, Jesus, it's all the excitement.
It's so much excitement though. Like I drove the Jetta track on the game, and it's fast and it's flowing.
I still haven't taken the game out of the shrink wrap yet.
You should do it now, because now the game's actually complete. Because Portimao, Imola, and Jeddah are all on it. The only thing they haven't done is update Abu Dhabi, but they might do that over Christmas.
They'd have to update Melbourne Albert Park too, wouldn't they?
They don't have to worry about that till next year, because we're not going there till next year.
Is it on the calendar in the game though?
It is. I don't drive it because I hate it.
Yeah,
Shit track. It might be our home race, but fuck, I hate it.
Yeah,
Such a shit track.
yeah. All right, so Jeddah,
Grand Prix.
not this weekend, next weekend, same weekend as Bathurst.
Yeah.
It'll be a great day for motorsport.
It will.
Or if you want to quote Bill Laurie, oh, it's a great day for motorsport. It's a great day for Melbourne. It's a great day for the world.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, thanks for tuning in, though, and we hope you enjoy the episode.
The ramblings.
We hope you tune in for the next episode in a couple of weeks. And then 2 weeks after that is the season finale at Abu Dhabi.
Yes. Also, next podcast, we may have a special guest with us. I'm going to
Yes.
tee it up. Brody, if you're listening, man, we'll tee it up.
Well, we might do a season finale podcast after that as well with our
Yes.
season roundup.
Yes, that'd be nice.
And then take about a month break and
Yep.
come back with some news
With
stories.
how the
and-
2022 car looks.
Yes.
Early February.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Until then, on behalf of myself and JB, it is goodbye.